Hello and welcome to another episode of Legal Talk. I am your hostess, Alina Gonzalez Dockery, attorney and owner of Life Law Planning here in Florida. And I am honored and privileged to be joined by Abigale Stolfe. She is the owner, founder, and family law experienced lawyer for Jersey Coast Family Law. I love that we're getting the eastern coastlines aligned. And I hope you don't mind me calling you Abby. I prefer a little bit more informality. But Abby, I want to thank you so much for joining me, especially on a topic that is near and dear to my heart as well, being a family law attorney. But I would love for my viewers and your audience to get to know a little bit more about yourself. So I'm going to give you some space to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It was really great talking to you prior to the airing. My name is Abigale Stolfe. I've been practicing family law for, I'm going to say, over 20 years because I'm not going to date myself. But before practicing family, I worked a judicial clerkship here in Ocean County, New Jersey. And now I have a statewide practice where I focus on family law. And I'm really clear to say family law because I don't believe personally that family law is all negative. I think that it is our job as family law attorneys to foster the next phase of the family and hopefully bring some unity together so that what was a hard time can prove to be an easy transition and a bright future. Just a quick backstory. My parents were divorced, and we spent every holiday as a family, the five of us, every holiday. We did not split time. We did not share time. And they would work together to make sure that we were all in one place for those special occasions. So that's really my goal and my job, in my opinion, with my clients.
I love that because you touched on something that really needs to be repeated and shouted from the rooftops. Family law does not need to be this acrimonious, I'm going to date myself saying like Kramer versus Kramer type of fight or what you see on TV. Because the reality is what you see on TV is not what really is the vast majority of our cases. And also, I love that you stated how it's that co-parenting, the importance that a family unit, regardless if if mom and dad are living together or husband and wife or however you want to define it, it really is that no matter what, you are a family unit. You're always tied thanks to these blessings that are these children. And so, Abby, I know we were talking a little bit before we jumped on screen to get to know each other. And in your experience, and I like how you say 20 plus, because I've been a little bit over 20 plus years in this family law realm. How are you finding the nuclear family? Is it that traditional, what we see back in the 80s, 90s, the husband, wife, kids, or are you starting to see a more modern family as majority of your clients?
That's a great question. That's a great question because I really, in my personal opinion, I view families as a multitude of different definitions. So you have the traditional husband, wife, 2.5 children. That's a family. Then you have the husband, stepmom, wife, stepdad, 3 connected children, and then some step siblings or half siblings, right? That's also a family. And then we have the boyfriend, girlfriend, and I'm going to say that this category applies mainly, in my view, to millennials and or the second time arounders, right? I consider myself a second time arounder, so we'll all know what that means. And those are the people who cohabitate. Those are the people who make a choice not to engage in a marriage tradition, the first one I described, for whatever their personal reason, but really still want to have that connection of family and or have children together and want to continue to foster that family dynamic without necessarily the bonds of matrimony, as some might say. So I think that what is a family today is not as cookie cutter as we saw on, the Cleaver family.
Now we're really pulling out some interesting shows. Well, I loved how you called that the second rounder because I raised my hand when you were describing that because I am divorced. I am cohabitating with my boyfriend. I have what I consider my stepson living with us. Um, so it's always fun times. And I think that's really important for the audience to know that it's not about the cookie cutter family. Yes, there's always the uniqueness, and we actually not only celebrate the uniqueness of the families, but we want to foster what is in the best interest of all members of that family. And I know when I'm speaking with my family law clients, one of the first things I tell them is that no matter that the parents are no longer getting along as well as, in a perfect world we would like, they are all forever tied because of these children. And I can only speak to Florida. Like Florida now has codified 50-50 time sharing. Even though I'm in a district that has been doing it for some time. And I've been finding families are struggling or having challenge with that. And I'm just curious because I'm always curious how other states go about it. What's going on in New Jersey with like time sharing? Because we don't use visitation anymore. It's about the family unit and the time.
Right. So our statute has not changed. It's always really provided for equal access for the child to the parents. But our new set of rationale, judges, empirical data that is flowing into the court system is saying, we're going to try this 50-50 approach. And so we're seeing a lot of 50-50. What that means to a given family may be different. Here's where I think that where the struggles are in finding a 50-50 arrangement. We all have to remember that parenting time is time to parent. So where I think a lot of struggles come in is when the non-dominant parent, when the household was together, right? If you were the non-dominant parent and the other person always took the role of packing lunches and picking up from school and dropping off to school, etc., now that becomes your job if you're looking for 50-50. It's not, well, you can still do all those jobs and I'm going to take every night from 6 to 8 p.m. or 6 to, 6 the next morning. So there is some struggle with defining what 50-50 is. So I think when people assert a claim to 50-50, they have to understand that that is time to parent. So you will be the person making lunches and driving kids. My daughter was a cheerleader. I don't even know how many hours. I ultimately put weights in my car because I figured the only time I could work out was while I was sitting outside of gymnastics or cheer, whatever. And I would be in the parking lot doing squats. So that is parenting though. That's what parenting is. So I think that understanding what you're asking for is critical. And as lawyers, explaining to our clients what it means is a key function to our job. I always tell my clients, my job is not to assert your facts because you can do that without me. My job is to apply your facts to the law. So I need something that's going to make sense. And when you're talking about parenting time, it's really important that parents want to parent.
And I agree. I couldn't agree even more because what I have been finding in my experience is that we have now I have some clients that they are phenomenal at co-parenting, sharing time, and very much like your family, what you described your family, holidays together, vacations. In fact, I have, and it's a good friend of mine, her current husband and former husband are best friends now. I mean, but that's the exception, not necessarily the rule. And and that's where I find that we're now getting into a position, or the courts are in a position of micromanaging these families, like enforcing that 50-50 timeshare. But I love how you put it though. It is parenting time. It is all of it. And it doesn't stop. And that's what I remind my clients. It doesn't end at 18 or graduation from high school either. Yeah.
No, I think I spend more time parenting my son who's in college now and my daughter who's a senior in high school now than I did when they were, younger, because when they're younger, they don't have an opinion or a voice. But, now, my God, do they have opinions? So, and they're not always good ones.
My heart goes out to you. I put one through college, and he meandered, boy, did he meander, but he found his footing, then he meander again. So it's always fun. But now, it's, I'm not going to
Yes.
say his age because then, people will look at me going, what? But even now, it's funny because he'll give me the call and I'm like, oh, okay. But it doesn't stop. And that's the beauty of being a family too, because it goes beyond that high school graduation or 18. And but it goes to the weddings, the college graduations, and celebrations of grandchildren. And I
Yes.
think that's at least a goal always is of mine, is that having that and fostering that understanding among the parents that you guys, this is a forever deal. Well, it's about the kids. I always I don't care if the kids are in the 20s, if they're getting divorced, if you're getting divorced or separating and such. Um, so I'm just curious, when you have let's just say I'm going to, I guess maybe be a little bit stereotypical. Mom comes to you and says, I am no longer able. And this will be after, keep this in mind because we're going to take a quick commercial break. But when mom comes to you and says, it's not working out, we have to split up. And this was always traditionally, I stayed at home. I was taking care of the kids. I may have had a little job here or there. How do you counsel someone to prepare themselves for their next chapter? So I want to have you keeping that in mind. And we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to be right back with Abby. And I have to say, I'm already wanting to take notes. So I hope you all are all enjoying this. Tune right back in.